Thank you. Welcome everyone today. Hello, Buju. So we've got just another minute or so, but we'll be doing a gentle practice on our mats today. And if you have a tennis ball, I'll demonstrate some ways to do some self-massage at the end, but you can just use your hands too. So it's really just up to you how you'd like to do it. All right, let me see. Okay. All right, well, we're about at starting time. So I'll just introduce myself first. Buju, anangi ko indigu, miskoga miwi saga iganing and dunjaba makwa and dudam. And what I said there in my language, the Ojibwe language, was my Ojibwe name is Star Woman. I'm from the Red Lake Nation and I'm Bear Clan. And my name is Elizabeth. My English name is Elizabeth. And today, in recognition of our Valentine's holiday that some of us practice, some of us, don't really think too much about it, but in recognition of Valentine's Day, I wanted to offer a practice because we think about love in terms of between two people, between family members, and it's a lot of times, an outward love to other places, and of course receiving it too, but always in exchange from, a lot of times we think about that exchange between people. And so today I wanted to focus on self-love, so the love that we give ourselves. And in my language, the word that we use is Jawan and Dizoin. And what that means is unconditional love for ourselves. And in conjunction with self-love, I also wanted to address something that I think some of you folks who are in the training currently, I wanted to just bring up this book about the yamas and the niyamas. And one of the values and teachings that I learned in the training session was about the notion of or of nonviolence. And at the core of nonviolence is love. And the first act of love that we can practice is that self-love for ourselves. So I just wanted to read a quote from this book, from the Yamas and the Niyamas. Love lies at the core of nonviolence and begins with our love of self. So today, in this practice, in our self-care practices our multiple self-care practices that we have, we can practice that self-love for ourselves. And for this specific practice, we'll do some movement to get our blood going. We'll do some emotional release. We'll do some power poses. And then we'll end with some self-massage as well as Savasana. And if we have time, I'll do a breathing practice that incorporates the word self-love in my language. And hopefully we'll have time for it. But all right, so let's get started. Coming to the top of your mat. So getting grounded, feet hip-width distance apart, equal standing pose, arms at your sides. We'll first connect to our breath to our movement. So first, just observe your breath, the natural rhythm. Perhaps the sensations of our inhale and exhale. On our next inhale, we'll get started with some arm raises as we connect our breath to movement. So palms facing out. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, bring your arms back down to your sides. A few more times like this. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, bringing your arms down. Smooth inhale, smooth exhale. Okay, welcome. Any folks just joining us now? We're just getting started. So again, at the top of your mat, feet hip width distance apart, equal standing pose, arms at your sides. We'll prepare for our first forward fold. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your arms down towards the mat. Little bend in your knees. Upper body is nice and relaxed. Need to breathe in and out. Feeling that gentle hamstring stretch behind you. And on your next inhale, preparing to come all the way down to tabletop. So we'll transition, bring our hands right in front of our feet, and just gently bring one knee down at a time. Coming into tabletop, hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips. More breath in and out. And then we are going to come into plank from this modified position. So bringing your hands just one hand width forward should get you about to the place that you need to come. And sinking down into plank, body is nice and straight. Inhale, and slowly coming down into your chaturanga, all the way down to the floor. And just resting your head on the floor for a moment. Inhale and exhale. Preparing to come into baby cobra. So pressing with your hands directly underneath your shoulders, pressing up, really engaging those back muscles in the core to bring your body up. Breathing in and out. Engaging your hands again, we'll come back into plank first. And to tabletop. Bring your hands back directly underneath your shoulders. Engaging your toes underneath you, we'll come into downward dog. Pressing back, pressing through your hands, feeling that your arms elongating, back opening up. A little bend in your knees if that feels good. Inhale and exhale. Just remembering to breathe throughout. And gently walking your feet up to meet your hands. Coming back into forward fold. Letting your upper body be nice and relaxed. And hands to heart center will round back up. Into mountain pose, Savasana. Okay, we'll do this one more time. Arms at your sides, preparing for our forward fold. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. And breathe. Bring your hands in front of your feet, preparing to transition into tabletop, one leg back at a time. Knees directly underneath your shoulders, hands directly underneath your hips. Inhale, exhale. And we'll prepare for our plank position. Bring your hands one hand width forward. And sinking down, body is nice and straight. The plank. And come down for chaturanga. All the way down to the mat. Elbows into your ribs. And then just resting your forehead on the mat for a moment. And we'll come into baby cobra. Hands directly underneath your shoulders. And come up. Engaging those back muscles, the core. Bring your body up. Inhale, exhale. Just going to come back down, preparing to come back into our modified plank, pressing through our hands, and then bringing our hands back underneath our shoulders to our tabletop, gazing our toes, we'll come back into down dog, pressing up, pressing through our hands, feeling that space in our shoulders, maybe walking the dog, this feels good, bending your right and left knees. And gently walking your hands up to or feet up to your hands, coming back into forward fold. Take a moment here. Hands to heart center, we'll round up. Okay. Next, we'll prepare to come back into a forward fold and do something similar. Arms at our sides. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. And breathe. Bring your hands to the mat in front of your feet. And gently come back into our tabletop position, one knee down at a time. Hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Let's stay on this tabletop for a few different poses. From here, we're going to come into cat and cow. So first, dropping your belly down, inhale, coming into cow. And exhale, pressing up, rounding your back, coming into cat. A few more times, dropping your belly, inhale. And exhale. In here. Rounding your back, coming back into cat. Just do a few on your own. You want to bring some different movements in, maybe rocking your hips from side to side. Making this practice your own. Taking movement where it feels good to you. All right. So we are going to prepare to come into a different type of warrior pose where one knee is on the mat and the other knee is out, or the other leg is outstretched. So getting your tabletop all the way to the front of your mat. So your hands are really at the front, the top of your mat. Because we're going to be outstretching our leg behind us a bit. So first, bringing your right knee, or keeping your right knee underneath your right hip, but then just keep standing your right foot open towards the back. Pressing through our right hand, keeping contact on the mat. I'm going to sweep our arm open, plant our left foot on the mat, coming open to our warrior pose, feeling the stability underneath us from the floor. Our arms are parallel to the mat, palms facing down. And our power pose, bringing some stability, grounding to the earth. Palms still facing down. We're going to come into peaceful warrior. So bring your left hand and just resting it on your left leg. Right arm gently tilts up towards the sky, and your gaze can follow. Peaceful warrior, breathing in and out. And then bringing our hands back to warrior two. Gazing over your front fingertips, gazing over your back fingertips. Then flip your palms open to the front. We're going to come into a pose that is like holding onto a bow and arrow. So your front hands are aiming the bow. Now gently sweep your left arm over your body and grab that bow, pulling it back. And then from your elbow to your front fingertips in a straight line, just aim. Pretend like you're aiming at something, going right and left, maybe to the front, and let go. Let go of that bow. Coming back into warrior two. Inhale and exhale. We'll come into side angle. So gently bring your right hand down to the mat, or if you have a block, I actually don't have any blocks with me today, but if you have a block, you can do so. Left arms up to the sky. This is our modified side angle position. Gaze up towards the skies. Heart is open to the skies. Engaging that core, coming back up into warrior two. Inhale and exhale. And slowly transitioning back to tabletop. So bringing your hands down to the mat. Your underknee comes back to the mat. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'll be facing the back of my mat for this one. Okay. Arms directly underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. This time bringing your left foot, kind of like extending it open to the left. Left hand stays on the mat. As we sweep our right arm open, planting our right foot down towards the back of our mat, coming into our warrior two position. Feeling the stability underneath us from the earth. Engaging our legs, engaging our core. Arms are parallel to the ground. And we'll gently come into peaceful warrior, bringing your right hand and just resting it on that right leg. Left arm comes up towards the sky. You can follow with our gaze to our peaceful warrior. And coming back into warrior two, palms, arms outstretched either side, parallel to the ground. Gaze over your back, fingertips in your front. Palms open to the right this time. And with our left hand as a pointing hand and bringing our right arm over our head. We're pulling, finding that bow, pulling it back, the arrow. And from a straight line from our elbow to our fingertips, I'm going to aim at something. Just imagine you're aiming at something and you're looking, you find something and then release. Coming back into warrior two, palms facing down to the earth, arms outstretched. We'll gently come down into side angle, tilting all the way down to the mat with our left hand onto a block or onto the mat directly. Gaze comes up to the skies, heart is open. Inhale and exhale. Coming back up into warrior two, nice and strong and stable. Breathe in and out. And transitioning back to the mat. Both hands come underneath you. Both knees underneath you at the tabletop. Breathe in and out. Okay. So from here, from this tabletop position, we're going to do a shoulder stretch. So bringing your left hand and just bringing it forward just a tad. And our right arm comes underneath, threads the needle with our palm facing up and crosses over our body, but our shoulders are still square. And we'll slowly sink down onto the mat. The forehead can even come down to the mat, and our gaze could be over our left shoulder. Feeling that nice shoulder stretch in our right shoulder. Breathing into the stretch. And slowly coming back up into tabletop. pressing up. Hands directly underneath your shoulders. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So this time bringing your right hand forward just a tad. And our left hand comes underneath our, in between here, like threading the needle, palm facing up. And sinking down, shoulders are still square to the front. And sinking down, our forehead or the side of our head can just rest on the mat. Continue to breathe into the stretch. Our joints often hold a lot of stress and tension. So, at least for me anyways, my hips and my shoulders are always feeling like they need a little extra attention. Pressing back up into tabletop. So we'll come into child's pose from here. So toes touching behind us, knees coming a little bit wider all the way out to the sides of our mat. That feels good. And then gently just sitting back, and our arms are outstretched in front of us. There's a couple different ways we can do a child's pose. So if this feels good to get that, feel that space in our shoulders and our back, you can stay here. There's a couple other ways to do this pose I wanted to show, and I'll show you my favorite. But here's another way. We bring our arms to either sides of our legs. And that way it's nice and relaxing. Try this one. And my favorite is bringing my elbows to either side of my head, and then my hands directly behind my neck, like I'm giving myself a hug, which is kind of nice on this day. Practicing self-love. Give yourself a hug. Sometimes it just feels good to close off that energy, like we're protecting ourselves behind our back and our neck. When you're ready, pressing back up to tabletop. We're preparing to come into Camo Pose. So with your, just bringing your body up, like you're on your knees, nice and straight. And from here, you can do Camo Pose a couple different ways. So one of the ways is just bringing your hands and resting them on the small of your back, gently bringing your hips forward, gaze comes up towards the sky. Continue to breathe here. And if you would like to go a little bit deeper into the pose, you can come back, bringing your hands back to your heels and your hips coming forward. Full expression here. Heart is open to the skies. Then gently coming back up. Do this pose one more time. Doing a few shoulder rolls in between. Preparing to do this a second time. Again, bring your hands either to the small of your back, hips come forward, gaze comes up. Inhale, exhale, always continuing to breathe throughout your poses. And gently coming back out of the pose. And prepare for rabbit pose. So bringing your knees all the way together. And your feet together behind you. And sitting back on your legs. And bringing your hands and just holding onto your heels or bringing them as close into your body as possible. And as we sit or lay forward on ourselves, bring ourselves into like a little ball. Just gently bringing your head down to the mat and resting it on the mat in front of you.
And from here, we will press our bottoms up into rabbit pose. This is a wonderful pose for your thyroid, massaging all those abdominal organs too. Continue to breathe. And then bring your bottom back down. Coming out of the pose for just a moment, and we'll come back into it one more time. Bring your arms, just tucking them close into your body or onto your heels, holding onto your heels. And laying on top of your legs, forehead comes to the mat in front of you, and gently rising up from your bottom to our full rabbit pose. And slowly bringing your bottom back down. Gently coming out of the pose. Sitting up nice and tall. Okay. I'm going to bring the camera close to me so I can be a little bit closer to you guys. So for the rest of the poses today, we're going to be seated on our mat. And last time I really liked that angle, being able to be really close to you guys as I was practicing. So I'll do that again. You can see I have a visitor here. She wanted to practice. She wanted to get close to me too. All right, so seated on our mat. I'll come over here so you can see me a little bit better. Seated on our mats, we're going to come into a hip opener. So first bringing your left foot and crossing it over in front of you, kind of at about a 90-degree angle. Foot is flexed. And crossing your right leg over your left, foot is flexed to protect your knee. And just breathing, making sure breathing into this really good hip opener. It looks kind of passive, but I feel it really intensely in a good way. Sitting up nice and tall. When you're ready, coming out of the pose, we'll switch our legs. This time the right leg on the bottom, that 90-degree angle. Foot is flexed. And then bringing our left leg over our right, flexing our foot, sitting up nice and tall. And continuing to breathe. Looks really good. So happy to be able to join you guys today. And slowly coming out of this pose. We'll just windshield wiper our legs back and forth. So a little movement. Okay. So next we'll do the self-massage. And so if you have a tennis ball, or if you don't, you can just use your hands too. But this is one tool that I've found, especially when I have like kinks in my back, to even just like lay on your tennis ball on those parts that really need a little extra attention. So sitting comfortably, whatever feels good, you can bring your legs outstretched in front of you or crossed. We'll first start with our shoulders. So bring your tennis ball or your hand and just pulling forward over that shoulder muscle that often gets really tense. A lot of times if we're sitting hunched over our desk or just sitting in different positions all day. Just rolling over that shoulder muscle, giving it a little extra attention. And coming down your shoulder to your bicep. And you can either go in circular motions or long motions, whatever feels good to you. And your tricep, and your forearm. All the way down to your hand. And when you're done, just sweeping it down your arm. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on our right arm. Starting with our shoulder. And pressure where it needs it. Maybe staying in one place for a few moments, depending on what feels good to you. And traveling down your arm as you're ready, your bicep. Going behind to your tricep. Forearm. All the way down. And just sweeping down your arm. Kind of close out. All right, then to our legs. I like to outstretch my legs for this one. I'm doing the same thing on your quads. So you can start either side, right or left. Again, just kind of playing around with the different, your back and forth motion, maybe up and down motion. And getting at either sides of your calf, maybe even if you have any shin splints, giving attention to that. And when you're ready, just sweeping down your leg. Doing the same thing on the other side. And just going at your own pace too. If you need to spend some more time in one place or another, please do so. Just sweeping it away. All right. Okay, so we will come down to our laying down position all the way on our mat. And just transitioning there in the best way that feels good to you. I like to hold onto my knees and just slowly come down vertebrae by vertebrae. Okay. Arms open, legs outstretched. Maybe just bouncing your knees up and down for a few times. Then bring your right knee into your body. Pulling it in, interlocking your fingers. Doing some ankle rolls. One direction and the other. And then keeping your left hand onto your right knee, outstretching your right arm to a T, and then gently crossing your knee over your body. Doing your best to keep your shoulders on the mat if that is there for you. And just letting your leg fall where it might. Both arms out to a T, feeling this final twist. And we noticed it a little bit more in our lower, lumbar spine. You're going to breathe into the stretch. Then we're going to bring our right arm, bring it over to our left, which is on the mat. And just for a moment, pausing here. And then when you're ready, we're going to open it back up onto the mat. And feeling that twist, and most likely we will feel it in our thoracic spinal area this time, our upper spine. Before it was like a lower spine twist. And as we do that movement, it opens up our shoulders and our upper spine. And gently coming back to neutral. And perhaps bringing both knees to our body. Just rocking back and forth before we prepare to do the other side. And then gently outstretching your right leg this time, keeping your left knee into your body, interlocking your fingers. And you're doing some ankle rolls from one direction and the other. And keeping your right hand crossed over your left knee, outstretching your left arm to a T, gently crossing your right knee over your body, and just letting it gently rest wherever it does. Both arms out to a T, doing our best to keep our shoulder blades contacted to the mat. And when you're ready, bring your left hand and crossing it over, and connecting it to your right. And then pausing for just a moment before we open it back up. Coming back to our T. Just noticing if we feel that twist in a higher place in our spine. And continuing to breathe into it. And gently bringing your legs back to neutral. Be one more opportunity to hug your knees into your body, rocking from side to side. Preparing for our final resting pose, Savasana. Legs coming all the way down to the mat, arms outstretched on either side of you. If you would like a blanket or put some socks on, maybe a pillow, however feels most comfortable to you. So we're here in Savasana, giving our body this opportunity to rest and rebuild. We can practice a breathing technique that I learned that was called heart-centered breathing. So if you would like to bring your left hand to your heart, you can bring your right hand to your belly or wherever feels comfortable. Sometimes that feels good to almost give ourselves a hug. And as we're connected to that heart space with our left hand, this breathing practice will focus on that heart space. On every inhale, breathing directly into that heart space. Intentionally breathing into that heart space. On your exhale, just letting go. As we focus on that heart space for today's practice, I'll invite you to just think about something about yourself that you are grateful for. Keeping that thought about yourself, just holding it there in that heart space. As you breathe into that heart space, breathing in gratitude. Gratitude for that part of yourself that you are so grateful for. Continuing to breathe intentionally into this heart space. Is there any more thoughts of gratitude that you would like to acknowledge? When you are ready, bring small movements into your body, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe gently rocking your head from side to side. When you're ready, rolling over to one side or the other, resting your head on your hands for a pillow, coming into this fetal position. And then when you're ready, just gently pressing yourself up to seated. And closing out your practice in whatever way you would like to. I will end my practice by saying Miigwech. Thank you all. Miigwech and grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.